Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Concerned Citizens Media. I always appreciate your presence. So I will share several news with you today. So I will start with Oromo Liberation Army having orientation with the residents freed. They freed from prosperity control. So I will start with that one, then a little bit update on northern part of the conflict given by Getachew Redda and media campaign, especially on Ethiopian side. So we'll have that one and more videos to share with you, plus some material, some news items to read for you. Thank you again for joining me. Let's listen to OLA, taking advantage of the current situation and controlling more areas. Recently, they control Haroo Limu town in East Wallagga zone in Oromia region. Also Buno Badalle, which is also in Western Oromia region. So they are expanding. They are intensifying their operation and getting more cities, villages, towns from prosperity control. They are taken away from prosperity, including mayors and security heads and prosperity militia surrendering to OLA operations. So let's listen what they say just for a few minutes, then I will continue to the other news. Thank you again.
Kanneen badii jajjaba geessaa turan jedhamanii sadarkaa hundatti komeen irra jiru akkasumas beekaanis ta'e otoo hin beekin kanneen sirnichaan irratti utubaa turan hedduun isaanii erga piipiin lolaan injifatamee booda harka kennachuun
So this is in the town of Haroo Limu in East Wallagga zone, taken by OLA.
Gara maatii isaanitti deebi'uun jireenya dhuunfaa isaanii eegalaniiru.
Ayyee mee namni qabaa waraanni bilisummaa Oromootiin godhe achittis ta'e yeroo lolarratti jettees ta'e erga baatanis ta'e simbeelessaa jira. Simbeelessaa jira. Mee namni akka kaleessa dheengatti isaan nutti mammitii akkinii dhumnes bira garee adda jedhee namni jiraatu akka isaan barbaadu.
Maskuno.
Maqaan koo Biraan Iddoo isaan jedhama. Gaheen hojii koo kantiibaa magaalaa Harooti.
Kantiibaa magaalaa Haroo.
Okay, she is the mayor of Haroo Limu town and talking about
waraana bilisummaa Oromoo nu godhe akkanitti gurraan dhagaa turee fi qabatamaatti erga dhalatee ijaan argeen beeku waan ta'eef jakootiin argee walaaseen beeku waan ta'eef har'a akkanitti arge baay'ee karaa
never seen OLA fighters. She never so she's talking about how she is being treated by OLA forces.
Warri nu qalan ganaa dhufu warri kun warra nu simatan warri nu qalan immoo ganaa kana taananii dhufu edeen baay'ee teechinaa baay'ee dhiphachaa keessi koo baay'ee roqamaa ture jechuudha. Gaafan gaditti bahu ijoolleen dhufanii bakka bilbiladhee ijoolleen dhufanii na fuudhanii akkam jirtu maammaa nagaa keessanii jedhaniiti kan isaan na dubbisan jechuudha. Sa'aatii sanarraa kaasee miirri tasgabbiinatti dhagahame hamma kan ergana dubbisanii erga dubban wal dubbanne waan dubbadhu hubachuu danda'u waan isaan dubbatan hubachuu danda'a ta'eeti waan kanatti dhufu momeenan ilaala jedheen ilaale ergasii booddee erga sagrootti gadi dhufne immoo osoo isaanii nyaatiin dubartoonni kun osoo isaanii nyaatiin haadholiin kun osoo isaanii nyaatiin warri dhiiraa nyaatanii isin dhaabadhaa isaanaa nyaatanii jedhaniitu namni sun as keessa hin jiru tuni argee natti tola dhaabatanii ofii isaanii bishaan buusanii nu nyaachisanii mana fincaanii illee qo'aa dubartoonni warri gurguddoon kun hin danda'an jedhanii mana fincaanii ofii dhaabatanii nu geessanii hanga guyyaan irraa dararaan tokko osoo nurra hin gahin ija nama booji'ameetiin osoo nama ilaalin ija nama booji'ameetiin osoo nama ilaalin hangaadhaa akka haadhaatti kunuunsanii nu nyaachisaa maaltu kun irratti waan qabnu waliin qabna waan dhabne immoo waliin qabna yoo nuti nyaanne nyaatu yoo nuti dhabne immoo hin dhabnu wajjin jechaadhaani baay'ee miira tasgabbii qabuu fi karaa boonsaa ta'een kan qabatanii jiran waan duraan waraanni bilisummaa Oromoo akkasittiin nama ajjeesa nama qala jedhame sana an dhufee wanti arge baay'ee adda waan ta'eef booneera Oromoo ta'uu kootti booneera ijoolleen kunis immoo ijoollee Oromoo ta'uu isaaniitti baay'ee booneera kan sanaan jedhani itti gaafatama.
Okay, just
akkanii dura dhagaa tureeti akka
let me just roughly translate what she's saying. She's the mayor of Haroo Limu town, and she never heard of, she never seen OLA before, and she was worried too much after she, became under the control of OLA. She was expected OLA forces, to kill her, slaughter her. That was, the propaganda she was taught. Maybe she was also teaching others when she was serving Prosperity Party or under the control of Prosperity Party. So what she is witnessed after she surrendered to OLA forces is completely different. She was getting or receiving, treatment like a mother. Ladies first treatment. She was given food first. She was given water first from the other, and getting even to use the restroom first. So everything completely different what she was conceived about OLA forces. OLA, the Prosperity Party officials teach, residents under their control like enemies. OLA not like human beings, something like different, who can slaughter human beings, eat the flesh. They pictured OLA in that sense. So these individuals in Haroo Limu, including the mayor, are talking about is the best treatment and feeling proud of themselves as Oromo. And, they make them like that. They treat them with dignity and respect. So let's listen to the other ones also.
Barsiisaa turettis waraanni bilisummaa Oromoo jedhu kun waraana nama qaluudhaaf ijaaran, waraana nama dararsuuf ijaaran, waraana saba dararsuuf ijaaran jennee dhagaas dantaa namaa kan eegu, faayidaa namaa kan eegu, mirga namaa kan eegu osoo hin taane mirga namaa irratti kan hojjetu, dantaa uummataa irratti kan hojjetu, uummataaf saba kan mirga dhuunfaa garee dhuunfaa irratti kan hundaa'e jedhame barsiisaa turame jechuudha. Barsiisaas turre jechuudha. Ammatti garuu guyyaa gaafa harka keenya gara waraana kanaatti kennannee kaase bakka itti qabamerraa kaase kabajaan naa godhan akkaataan itti simatame akka jaalalli natti mul'ate sagaleen natti dubbatame jaalalli obbolummaa jaalalli oromummaa akkaataan itti natti mul'atame naaf adda jechuudha. Barnoota duraan qabu sanarraa adda jechuudha. Bakkuma sanarraa kaasee
he's saying the same thing.
Waa ta'e natti dhaga'amaa ture jechuudha. Oromoodhaa lakkaa kan jedhu sana dhaga'an ture jechuudha. Kanaaf guyyaa sanarraa kaasnee bakkuma sanatti nyaanni koshooroon beeloftee itti dubbachuu hin dandeessu jedhame naaf kenname jechuudha. Sanarra darbee an qondaala yookaan immoo geggeessaa olaanaa sadarkaanaati jechuudha. Sana keessatti illee addummaa akka kanaatti kabajni naa godhame adda jechuudha. Kabajni naa godhame. Kanaaf iddoo sanarraa dhufee hanga gara mooraa mana barumsa sadarkaa lammaffaa sugee kanatti gaafan dhufus haalli akkamitti siimii jedhe na gorsuudhaan jechuudha. Jaalchi Oddeenfaa na gorsanii kophaatti illee miira tasgabbii akka horadhu, miira nagaa akka horadhu, miira jaalalaa akka horadhuuf kophaatti illee na gorsanii waan bal'anaaf gorsa naa laatan jechuudha. Sanarra darbee illee gochi naaf godhame amma hoteelatti na geessutti hoteelatti illee na simatanii akkan tasgabbaa'uuf akkan miira nagaa horadhuuf sodaa keessa akkan bahutti affeerraan naa godhame jira jechuudha. Kanaaf ani kan nama balleessu kan nama nyaatu sun kan biraadhaa sun lafa kanarraa yookaan bakka kanarraa godaanee kan uummataaf qabsaa'uuf kan uummataaf ijaarame iddoo kana dhufee kan jiru sana arge jechuudha. Kanaaf uummanni keenyas nus kan hubanne dhimma Oromummaa dantaa Oromummaa ijaaramnee yoo qabsoomne yoo hojjenne wanti hin taane akka hin jirre hubadheera waan ta'eef anis kanuma waan hin hubadhe sana kaasuuf jechuudha. Galatoomaa ulfaadhaan.
Introducing Astapro Allergy. Fast, 24 hours steroid-free allergy relief. So you can Astapro and go.
Lammaffaan Abdurrahmaan Abdiisaati gara guyyaa kana keessa islaama ta'eera waan ta'eef maqaa lamaan qaba. Ani Dhugaas Abdiisaan jedhama. Bulchiisa gandaa Haroo magaalaa Duwwaa tokkooti. Bulchiisa gandaa Haroo Duwwaa tokkooti. Ani dhuguma abaa'oo kan jedhamu kanas ijaan argeen beeku. Abaa'oo makuma isaan nagaa malee abaa'oo kan jedhamu kana ijaan argeen beeku miilan argeechaa. Abaa'oo kan jedhan nama akka Yesuus Kiristoos nama fannisu nama immoo shukkaadhaan morma namaa kutu nama saamu kanatti ijaaramee kan jirudha jennee akkasitti beekna. Warri nutti mus akkasitti dhaga'e nusuma akkasitti uummata barsiisaa turre jecha. Nama akka Yesuus Kiristoos nama fannisutti harka koon kennuun jedhe dengatti. Ijoolleen koo booyanii gadoodhanii namni harka laateera harka kennii maaliif harka laattu wannaan ani isaan nama qalu. Bu'uu koo barbaadanii jennaan lakki isaan nama hin ajjeesanii nama kunuunsuu kan jedhu sana naakaa sana jecha. Kanaa booda ani hanga guyyaa irratti siyaasa dhiboo'eera. Tokko gaafumaan jalqaba harka laattee ijoollee qofaan dhungatu. Qabsaan tokko na duukaa bu'e jecha. Qabsaan yeroo dheeraa gaafan ijoollee koo isaan natti naanna'anii afaan isaanii dhungatu na duukaa bu'e. Lammaffaan sagiroo dhufnee sagirootti affeerraan nu ta'e waan hundumtuu akka herregame sana waan akka dura yaadame sana miti kan biraa jijjiiramee argame jecha. Gaafa itti sinnee ilaalu kabaja isaan nu laatan ulfina isaan nu laatan ofii kaanii nu teessisanii afaafi isaanii nuuf hafanii eddee haala nu mijeessan natti dhagahame jecha. Lammaffaa gaafan boo'u qabsaa'ama kana keessaa milishaa keenya keessaa ijoolleen isaa dhufanii haalli nuuf hin mijanne jedhanii kan boo'an hin boo'e jechaadha qabsaan sun. Ijoollee Oromoo akkasitti rakkistee miti kana deemtu jedhee boo'ee nyaaniin duukaa boo'e. Kuni laphee namaatti dhaga'ama jechaadha. Kan kaleessa dheengadda dhageenyee barsiisaa turre sana laphee keenyarra gadaqee baay'ee sammuu keenyatti nutti dhaga'ame jechaadha. Sadeffaanii gowwaa tufuuf kaanu namoonni booyanii jennaan qabsaan tokko hin baadanii eessa dhaqu deebanii boorisinii galuuti hin booyina wanti tokko irra hin ga'u jedhee booyinnaa hin wajjin boo'echaa. Nuti gaafas kaanu kan gaafa harka laachuuf kaanu waanuma abaa'oo shaneen kun morma keenya nu qalee lafarraa nutti fakkaata. Garuu amma kana san kaleessa dheengadda gochaa ture sana dheengadda dubbachaa ture akka araamuutti natti dhagahame jechaadha. Ani ilma Oromoo irratti kana dubbadhee kan jedhu sun akka waan araamuu dalagee akka nama firasaa wajjin bulee arrabni keenya dubbachuun hollatecha. Kanaafi nus akka nam tokkotti Oromummaan nuti dhuguma akka kanaatti hin beeknu akka kanaatti dhugumanii namni addana dhufu kun rashanamee yookaan qalamee dhumaa kan jedhu sanatti jala muramee nutti mul'ata malee akkasitti kabanyii fi jaalalli nu jidduu dhufa kan jedhu sana na jidduun turecha. Kanaafi ammallee taanaan ani gaafuma qabsaan ani mucaa ijoollee koo afaan keessa dhudhungannan na duukaa bu'e gaafasuma mana keessaa badee inneen kana dura jibba abaa'u shanii qabu. Gaafa sana sammuu koo keessaa haqamecha. Amma jaalalli koo garamitti deebi'eera miidhanni jaalala kooti kan dura odeessaa turre sanaa fi kan dura gochaa ture sun na keessaa haqamee gara jaalala ilma Oromoo lapheen kun na deebi'eera waan ta'eef anis akka ilma Oromoo tokkotti gaabbii natti dhaga'amee fi gochi kana dura badii akka ta'e na galeera jechuun barbaada.
Okay.
Kaleessa utubdoota sirna nafxanyaa kan turan.
Let's talk about BetterHelp. If you ever feel anxious, depressed, stressed, overwhelmed by the world being very much on fire, BetterHelp can...
But President-elect William Ruto...
Okay, I will come to President-elect William Ruto. So these individuals you heard on the video, they are completely changed what they conceived, what they have about OLA, about Onek Shene, which the Prosperity Party give them in a indoctrination. That's a very, very, very dangerous, really, creating that kind of picture about OLA. And these are people speaking the same language, and the Prosperity Party, for its own sake of power, creating such a magnitude hatred against OLA, and creating like OLA like a killer, and those who are just non-human. But these people, those Haroo Limu, Kabale one head, the older man, and the mayor, the other security head of the Haroo Limu Warada or district, what they are saying is what they are witnessing after they came under the control of OLA is completely different. OLA treated them with respect, with dignity, and giving them, a VIP treatment, really. VIP treatment, everything from feeding them and respecting them and creating a confidence, belonging into Oromo, being proud of Oromo. So that is a very, very excellent approach by OLA forces against these former enemies. They are former enemies. They were fighting OLA with whatever they have by organizing militia, funding, and fighting with propaganda. So these are enemies before they surrendered to OLA. So they are getting completely different treatment, respect, and so they are enjoying it. They are appreciative of the OLA forces, and they are even calling to fight with them for complete freedom. So I hope they will stay in that way, in that manner. I hope they will remain under the control of OLA. I don't want to see something happen in Agamsa district, Agamsa town. That was horrible. OLA controlled for a while, left the area, Fano militia, massacred the people living there, and took all their livestock and other properties. And I hope this will remain under OLA control, and more work can be done to control other areas. So that's interesting, completely a different take and a different approach, very diplomatic approach, created the atmosphere, eliminated the fear of these people. The lady was saying she was waiting for the killers. When they're gonna come? You know, she was waiting to be killed. But they gave her great respect, great treatment, ladies first treatment. And she's appreciative of that. And she changed, and all of them changed what they know and what they witness after their surrender to OLA. So thank you, and let's see other update. Since the war started between TDF and the central government, with the help of also the Eritrean forces, is almost past 11 days or 12 days. So Mr. Getachew Reda, the Central Committee of TPLF or Tigray region, and the spokesperson of TPLF talked about what they face, what challenges they face. The Tigray people, the Tigrayan defense forces are, challenged with massive military hardware, massive military personnel from Eritrea and from Ethiopia, Fano militia, and other regions militia. Despite all these forces, they are still fighting and resisting the invaders, and as they are also in a good standing. So the invaders are not successful, and they are repelling it. So they are doing good. Mr. Getachew Reda also doing some diplomatic propaganda. He is telling Afar, he's telling the Amaras, the elite Amaras, and others not to fight for those traders, those who are making money from trading oil, producing oil in the especially Humara area, using the oil seeds and exporting and making money, and not to fight for these individuals and for the prime minister power. He is, advising them. He's advising them, and the Tigray Defense Force is not fighting against the Amaras. He is trying to play a polite diplomatic role, a strategy, and telling them not to lose their lives for somebody's seat or for those traders making money for themselves, not for the Ethiopians as a majority. So he's advising them not to join the fight against them. TDF or TPLF is not against the regular people. They are just try to open up the Tigray region to the other areas, try to unseal the situation they have been for almost 1 year. So he's advising the Amaras, the Afaris, and others not to join and not to lose their lives for somebody's seat or for somebody's making money out of the seed oil producing. So that's the take for this almost 11 days of war. The other thing is the government, Ethiopian government media also creating some, propaganda to counter Tigray regions, showing Ethiopian National Defense Force captives in a massive number, almost some media are reporting about 6,000 plus captives within these 11 days of war. So to counter that, well treatment of Ethiopian National Defense Forces by Tigray region people and TDF fighters, like the treatment of medical treatment, providing them with food, water, and respect, and plus also, long march on the streets of Mekelle. So Fana Broadcasting Corporation and other government media are now collecting or showing on their media that those youngsters detained by security forces from all areas because from their Tigray region. Ethnic-based detention was reported openly. So now they try to use these detainees as a war captives, and the government is, using them to use them as a propaganda tool against TDF, and also showing what treatment they are giving them. So that is, that's to try to compensate and try to show that they are also having war captives like TDF to try to boost Ethiopians' morale. That Ethiopian National Defense Force are also winning the war. That's why they try to show by just depicting these detainees. These are civilians, young civilians. You don't see military uniform. You don't see anyone injured. No, these are just fake news used detainees. Those are youngsters detained because of they are from Tigrayans, and now they try to use them as a propaganda tool to counter the TDF, showing the thousands and thousands of Ethiopian National Defense Forces on the streets of Mekelle, marching, giving them better treatment, medical treatment, food, and other things. So that's also, just started on a Fana and other media outlets to play that kind of propaganda. Thank you so much. Let's read some other news, and I will come back to William Ruto confirmed as a president-elect for Kenya. Okay. Ethiopia calls on Nile Basin riparian states to expedite coming into force of CFA. The McConnell, Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, called on all the Nile Basin riparian states to expedite the coming into force of the Cooperative Framework Agreement, CFA. The Cooperative Framework Agreement outlines principles, rights, and obligations for cooperative management and the development of the Nile Basin water resources. Foreign Minister Demeke made the remark at a 3-day first regional high-level conference of the Nile Upper Riparian Countries Cooperation Conference, which kicked off in Addis Ababa today, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Minister of Water and Energy, Habtamu Ittafa, State Ministers of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Tasfaye and Ambassador Burtukan Ayano, Deputy Mayor of Addis Ababa City, Zantirar Abai, as well as delegates from Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, and South Sudan, and representatives from various water institutes and high-level guests are attending the conference. The Nile River, which supplies livelihood to millions of people who live along its banks in Ethiopia alone, and accounts for 2/3 of the country's surface water, the Mecca said. However, Nile River is confronted with both man-made and natural issues that affect sustainable use of the river, exacerbate water stress in the region, and cause tension over the utilization of the available water. Explaining the issues preventing the sustainable use of the Nile River, the Mecca added that, on the one hand, threatened by ever-increasing water demand due to population growth, environmental degradation, and climate change, among other things. Furthermore, the tendency to assert hegemony over the shared water resources, on the other hand, continues to be a barrier to the equitable and sensible utilization of the Nile waters, the Mecca emphasized. He recalled the action taken by the upper riparian nations on the Nile in the past years, saying that riparian states have sought to address these challenges and have made modest strides to conserve the shared resource while trying to ensure fairness in its utilization. These efforts have culminated in the launching of the Nile Basin Initiative, NBI, in 1999 and the opening for signature of the Cooperative Framework Agreement, CFA, in 2010. Following a decade-long negotiation process, he added. Among other aspects, the Mecca also stated that in addition to this collective effort that we are making to ensure fair and equitable use of our shared resources, the government of Ethiopia has, in the framework of the CFA, supported basin-wide development and restoration. He also briefed about the development of the Ethiopian Grand Renaissance Dam, GERD, and the Green Legacy Initiative launched by the government of Ethiopia under the leadership of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Unfortunately, a pure development project with clear targets for clear energy production has been subjected to undue politicization and pressure, even though it does not entail any significant harm to any riparian country, he said. Further, adding, this is yet another indication of why we need to expedite the setting up of a basin-wide legal and institutional framework. In this regard, I would like to seize this opportunity to call on riparian states to expedite the coming into force of the CFA, which would undoubtedly address problems in a lasting manner, he added. Credit Addis Standard, citing Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia. So thus, Foreign Minister is calling on the countries or basin riparians like Uganda, Sudan, and other countries to expedite the agreement, the effective agreement signed before CFA. This one is about Sudan. Sudan orders aid groups to evacuate border area with Ethiopia. The Sudanese authorities urged humanitarian aid agencies to evacuate the Hamdayet border reception center for Ethiopian refugees, citing fears for their safety following the intensification of clashes near the Sudanese border. Thousands of refugees fled from the northern region of Tigray when hostilities broke out between the TPLF and the regular army in Ethiopia in November 2020. However, in recent weeks, fighting resumed between Ethiopian forces backed by Eritrean forces against Tigray People Liberation Front, which controls northern Ethiopia. Informed sources confirmed to Sudan Tribune that fierce military confrontation between the sides continued on Sunday near the Sudanese-Ethiopian-Eritrean border triangle in the areas of Dima and Kudima. As a result of this escalation, the Sudanese security authorities ordered foreign organizations operating in the Hamdayet reception center to leave the area after the intensification of the military confrontation around Dima, which borders Hamdayet, Sudanese military source further added. The sources also said that the authorities plan to evacuate the civilians residing the area as Sudanese military reinforcements were deployed in both Hamdayet and Kudima. Hamdayet is located in the Great Fashka near the common border between Gadarif and Kassala states in the Sudan, adjacent to Ethiopia and Eritrea. Medicine Sans Frontiers (MSF), Plan Sudan, UNHCR, COR, Muslim Aid, as well as the Child Welfare Council are among the aid groups working in the border area. So these are the groups told to leave the border area because of the intensified military confrontation in that border area. That's the decision of the Sudanese authority. This is from this is a press statement from U.S. State Department Antony Blinken about the Supreme Court ruling on election in Kenya. The United States congratulates William Ruto on his election as a president of Kenya, as confirmed by the Supreme Court on September 5. We also congratulate the people of Kenya on the conclusion of a peaceful electoral process. We commend Raila Odinga and other candidates for abiding by the Supreme Court ruling. Transparent electoral process and the peaceful abduction of disputes are testament to the strength of democratic institutions. The United States and Kenya share a strong and long-standing partnership based on a commitment to democracy, security, and economic prosperity. We look forward to enhancing this partnership with President Ruto and his government. So that is Very nice statement. Very nice diplomatic statement. Congratulating President-elect and interest to work together in the future in promoting security, democracy, and prosperity. This one is a statement by Joe Biden on his support for union workers. Statement by President Biden in support of California's Agricultural Labor Relation Voting Choice Act. I strongly support California's Agricultural Labor Relations Voting Choice Act, AB 2183, which will give California's agricultural workers greater opportunity to organize and collectively bargain for better wages, benefits, and working conditions. Farm workers work tirelessly and at a great personal risk to keep food on America's table during the pandemic. In the state with the largest population of farm workers, the least we owe them is an easier path to make a free and a fair choice to organize a union. I am grateful to California's elected officials and the union leaders for leading the way. Government should work to remove, not erect, barriers to workers organizing. But ultimately, workers must make the choice whether to organize a union. Unions transform how we work and live. Higher wages, better benefits like health insurance and paid leave, protection against discrimination and harassment, and a safe and healthier workplace. Unions build the middle class, and unions give workers a choice. Workers' voices are heard and heeded. Organizing or joining a union, that is a democracy in action, and it is especially important today for black and brown workers whose voices have long been silenced through shameful race-based laws and policies. It is long past time that we ensure America's farm workers and other essential workers have the same right to join a union as other Americans. So that is President Joe Biden encouraging and supporting union workers. This is a tragedy from Canada. You might already heard on different news, but this is a tragedy. Two brothers just going around and stabbing people. This is painful, really. Painful. Just stabbing anybody wherever they encounter. They already killed I think 10 people and injured 18. Canada stabbing. One suspect found dead. He was found in James Smith's Cree Nation, the indigenous community where most of the victims lived. Sanderson's brother is at large and dangerous, police say. On Monday evening, Chief Bobby Cameron of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, which represents all 74 First Nations of Saskatchewan, urged residents to report with any information about the attack, which also left 18 people wounded. Someone out there knows something, he said in a statement. We beg you to come forward for the sake of the families. In Regina, the province capital city where the suspects were last seen, communities are on edge. But in the city center on Monday evening, there were no obvious signs of a manhunt. The city was mostly quiet as families gathered to enjoy the Labor Day holiday, the unofficial end to summer. Every so often, that calm was interrupted by piercing alerts ringing on mobile phones, warning of 2 adult male suspects and then just one still on the run. Every time a new alert is broadcast, the families and the communities are holding their breath for fear of new fatalities or injuries, Mr. Cameron said. Officers from 3 provinces, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta, are involved in the search. The brutal spree of violence has racked the typically peaceful province, with police investigating 13 different crime scenes. Both Damien Sanderson and his brother Miles have been charged with murder despite not being arrested. Canada shooting spree targets homeless people. Police Assistant Commissioner Rhonda Blackmore told a news conference a deceased male was located in the James Smith Cree Nation at 11:30 local time, 11:30 GMT. It was later confirmed at 13:17 on Monday that the deceased is Damien Sanderson. She told reporters his body was located outdoors in a heavily grassed area in proximity to a house that was being examined by authorities. The 30-year-old suspect might also have sustained injuries, and police have warned the public he might seek medical assistance, but police didn't say whether he was responsible for his brother's death. Miles, who was previously known to the police, is described as having an extensive and lengthy criminal record dating back in a number of years for crimes against individuals and property. This kind of violence, or any kind of violence, has no place in our country, said Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday. He said that tragedies like this have become all too commonplace, adding that Saskatchewanians, it's very hard to read some words, and Canadians would be there for each other in times of difficulty and anguish. Many of the victims were residents of the remote James Smith Cree Nation, home to about 2,000 people, leaving members of Canada's indigenous community especially shaken. A state of emergency was declared in Saskatchewan. Canadian media have identified some of the victims, although no official details have been provided by authorities. Saskatchewan, 1.2 million residents are scattered across 250,000 square miles, cluster of tight-knit communities separated by stretches of highways. That's the flat expanse of farmland. Most places feel remote. So BBC has more details. So if you are interested, you can check BBC for this. You got all timelines of the event and other details. So that's all I have for you in reading. Let's continue sharing about Kenya election and I think one more video. Thank you again.
now wants the process of transition to begin in earnest following the validation of his election. In his first address to the nation, the president-elect also reiterated that he will run an accountable government that he expects to be checked by a vibrant opposition. Citizen TV's Brenda Wanga has more.
The crowd had started gathering at the current residence of the Deputy President moments before the Supreme Court upheld the election of William Ruto as the country's 5th president. You are not the relief at the tail end of what has been a lengthy, protracted presidential election evident in both the supporters and the president-elect. And when he emerged for his inaugural address to the nation a few hours later, the president-elect was clear on what his immediate business would be, getting that transition process underway.
Where we have, I will shortly be putting a call to my good friend, President Uhuru Kenyatta. We have not I haven't talked to him in months. But shortly I will bring a call to him so that we can have a conversation on the process of transition.
The president-elect and the outgoing president had fallen out in the course of the campaigns, with President Uhuru Kenyatta throwing his weight behind Azimio's presidential ticket. Ruto now says he harbors no grudge against his predecessor.
Oh, he worked hard in his own way, but the people of Kenya have made a decision. And we have absolutely no issue with the democratic choices of any Kenyan. You remember I said earlier, when I chose to support Uhuru Kenyatta, I did not give him conditions that he must support me. I have made that very clear. So I take no offense at all that he decided to choose and support somebody else.
Ruto also says he will be reaching out to those who contested the presidency against him.
I will also be putting a call to my worthy competitors, beginning with Raila Odinga, my worthy competitor, with his Azimio team, so that we can begin to contextualize how we are going to work together for the people of Kenya. Those of us who will be working from the executive and the Azimio team who will be working from the opposition. And as I committed to the people of Kenya, I believe in the rule of law. I do not believe in the handshake stories. I believe in an accountable government.
The president-elect maintaining that despite the movement of leaders from the opposition to his side, he will not stifle the role of the opposition in his administration. At the same time, the newly elected president did not mince his words when it came to people and institutions perceived to have worked against his election.
Criminal justice system will never be used again against those who have a contrary view, political view, to ours. I want our competitors to rest assured that though the rest of us have been subjected to threats, blackmail, intimidation, and unnecessary fights,
The president-elect, William Ruto, also took time out to thank his legal team, his family, and political friends for walking what he described as a long and tedious journey to the presidency before taking questions from the Fourth Estate.
Where are my good friends from Citizen?
The president-elect says he will waste no time in hitting the ground running as he seeks to transition from the campaign period to a period of service delivery and making sure that he delivers on the promises that convinced the over 7 million people to vote for him as the 5th president.
I think coming down to see Ross is very important to see whether you will fit well here and just get a whole vibe.
Rishi Sunak, 60,399. Liz Truss, 81,326. Therefore, I give notice that Liz Truss is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
The result had been widely predicted, but it's no less significant given the candidates' differing approaches on the economy and helping people facing huge rises in energy bills. Liz Truss addressed those issues, but only after a tribute to the man she replaces as Prime Minister on Tuesday.
Boris, you got Brexit done. You crushed Jeremy Corbyn. You rolled out the vaccine and you stood up to Vladimir Putin. You were admired from Kiev to Carlisle.
Rishi Sunak resigned along with dozens of Conservative MPs, accelerating Boris Johnson's departure. He's now urged Tories to unite behind his former cabinet colleague, but she knows winning back public trust will be a big challenge.
After such a long selection process, the urgency for the new Prime Minister to tell the public exactly what steps they'll be taking over the cost of living crisis is clear. And Liz Truss can't have failed to realise that.
A lot of the work, I think, has been done, and I think the team are aware that once you transition from campaigning to government, this is a top question on people's minds, and people will expect to hear clear and comprehensive answers, and I think we'll get that later this week.
I will deliver on the energy crisis, dealing with people's energy bills, but also dealing with the long-term issues we have on energy supply.
After previously focusing on tax cuts, Truss is reportedly considering a freeze on energy bills, something the opposition Labour Party has called for.
There's a political consensus that needs to happen. She needs to answer the question, how's she going to pay for that? Labour have been clear, it needs to be a windfall tax on oil and gas companies. So she needs to show that she actually understands and can meet the challenges that are there after 12 years of failure of this Tory government.
And we will deliver a great victory for the Conservative Party in 2024. Thank you.
So no shortage of immense challenges. So immense, in fact, that some predict another leadership challenge before the next election is due in 2 years' time. Nadeem Barber, Al Jazeera, London.
Okay. These are the videos I choose for you to share with you. So that's a new Prime Minister for UK. And before that, William Ruto, President-elect of Kenya. I really like his messaging, especially William Ruto, President-elect William Ruto. He's a he is like bringing the country, the Kenyans together into his into the future. He don't see any anger. He don't see any. He say no offense to anyone, including the President Uhuru Kenyatta, for not supporting him. And he also said his government is an accountable government where the justice system will not be used against the opposition to criminalize, to harass what is happening in Ethiopia now. No accountable government in Ethiopia under Abiy Ahmed. No accountable. People are dying, 60, hundreds. People are just shoot on the street in public. That is not accountable government. You cannot sue anybody. And if you sue, the government will interfere with the court system. And those judges, those who are on the top of the legal system, work with Prime Minister. They are the right hand of him. So the whole system is destroyed in Ethiopia. There is no accountability. There is no legal system. So I am happy hearing those messages and also welcoming all Kenyans into the future, and even interested to work with opposition parties, Rola Odinga party. So he just interesting person, and I wish him, success in his leadership, and also congratulate his team and the Kenyans for having a successful, democratic, free and fair election. Really make Ethiopians jealous. Make us jealous. We wish to have that kind of election, accountable government, the government that cannot use the legal system to harass opposition, to arrest, and people will account the government. So that's interesting messaging, and we wish him a successful 5 years or 4 years term, and I wish all Kenyans a good luck, and for settling the election, the tension we have been witnessing since August 9. So that's all I'm going to say for today. Thank you for joining me. I will be back with other updates. So long, and be safe, everyone.